Ron Chimelis is the Viewpoint columnist for Masslive and The Republican. From time to time, Ron visits to share some of his thoughts on issues he's written about and more. Tonight, some politics in this big election year, but we start with whether or not it's still cool to be patriotic.
I think people sometimes misinterpret what patriotism is. I have no problem with people disagreeing with things we do. You can still have a love of the country. But patriotism, I think, unfortunately, can become very polarizing. It's not supposed to be that way. We're supposed to all agree on the fundamental goodness of the country and then work on the details amongst ourselves. That doesn't always happen.
I mean, that is one of the misunderstandings. There are folks that think if you are protesting or if you're complaining or if you're saying we shouldn't be doing this or that, you're not being patriotic.
Yeah, and we're built on protest, and it bothers me too. I'm not above that. My father served in Vietnam, and it bothered me a lot to see people protesting. I had to keep reminding myself that was their right, as long as they did it peacefully. I can't say I was happy about it. I can't always say that I thought it was a patriotic way to make their point, but that's all part of America, and if we believe in America, we have to accept that part.
And of course, it seems today a fair amount of the idea of patriotism is tied up with how we react to our veterans. And of course, you mentioned your dad, a Vietnam veteran. We don't have to tell you what it was like for Vietnam veterans coming back, a very unpopular war that they were forced into in many cases, drafted, and yet the men and women that came back took the brunt of the criticism for the war.
Yeah, and that was heartbreaking in many cases. My father was a military careerman, so he wasn't drafted. He actually went at a rather advanced age. I was at Fenway Park last week, and in the fourth or fifth inning, they salute the veterans that stand on the dugout. It's a great thing, but it was pointed out to me, we didn't do that for the Vietnam veterans. They didn't stand on the dugout and wave to a cheering crowd, and we owe them a lot for that. And for some of them, they've never been able to get past that, and I sympathize with them.
I mean, because we've always seen the parades for the folks who came back from World War II or Korea. We've done it now for Desert Storm and Iraq and Afghanistan. But they're in that special in-between spot, it seems,
well,
the Vietnam guys.
One thing that I think, we try to say what good came out of Vietnam. The one good thing that I guess I could think of is we learned from that. I think the next generation realized we're blaming the wrong people. And I think we've been better at that as a country since then. A lot of people still don't like the wars we get involved with, but they understand why they are created and who's behind them. And for the most part, they don't blame the enlisted men.
Looking back a little farther, World War II, we are rapidly losing that greatest generation. A while back, they were dying at the rate of 1,000 a day, according to the Veterans Administration. It's not that anymore because there aren't that many of them left. The youngest World War II vets are high 80s, about 90 or so.
I think the youngest could be 89, because if you were 18 in 1945, we're losing hundreds, if not more, every day. And you see these reunions, the Pearl Harbor veterans and other group battalions, they've stopped having reunions because there's only one or two left. It's really sobering to watch this happen, because in a few years they're going to be gone, and it's just going to be memories. And I hope we remember them. I think we will, but we'll see.
Excuse me. The thing that always amazed me about the World War II folks was they went off to war right out of high school in most cases, sometimes not even graduating. They'd grown up in tough circumstances in the Depression, so many of them. Then they came home and built this country in the 50s and 60s into the most amazing society and economy the world has ever seen.
Yeah, and part of me wishes I'd lived through that. It's easy to say that now because it was a very difficult time. The Depression, the war, during a great part of it, we had no reason to be sure we would win. We said we would win, but everybody seemed to be pointing in the same direction. You watch all those old war movies, and they don't wrestle with the morality of the war. They knew the war was necessary, and they all pitched in. The Hollywood celebrities not only joined in, they went to fight. The great ball players did. It's a unity that I wish we had more of today.
Speaking of lack of unity today, you have been writing a tremendous amount, how could you not, about the current presidential race. It's fascinating in both parties, but we have, for the most part in the media, focused on the wild carnival sideshow that is, or was, the Republican nomination fight. You said just now, when I was mentioning this to you before we started taping, you were thinking of putting yourself under a Trumpatorium. Enough Trump for a while.
Well, it's just, you look at any newspaper's editorial op-ed page, and sometimes every column is about Trump, and most of them wind up saying the same thing in different forms. Obviously, you got to cover it. This is not only unique in many respects, it's unprecedented. So how can you ignore it? but I'm not sure we're not repeating ourselves. And he's played it like a musician has. I mean, he's had billions of dollars of free publicity. He knew exactly what he was doing. I'll give myself a little credit. I said a year ago, don't underestimate his chances. That wasn't an endorsement. It was an analysis that said he was polling high, winning primaries. People said he can't win. And I said, why can't he win? And he's still winning.
You said a while back, too, and there's all this excitement in recent weeks about his financial situation. We should see his taxes. The Clinton campaign has been hammering. We've given out years and years of taxes. Where are Donald Trump's taxes? He says, I can't because I'm under an audit. Folks within the Republican Party, Mitt Romney, have said, that's not the truth. You can release anything in your own documents you want. You said, I don't really care about his taxes.
I care less about his taxes. I do. An emailer said to me, don't you care about character and values? I said, absolutely. I care more than maybe a lot of people in the country do, but I don't base that waiting for his tax return.
You also wrote, and I stopped and I read this line 3 or 4 times, and I don't think I'm quoting it exactly right, but you basically said, the political correctness crowd, with their nitpicking and their condescension to the kind of middle-of-the-country folks, the flyover country folks, as they're sometimes called, they really helped propel Donald Trump.
Oh, I think if they really wanted the major liberal media, whatever you want to call them, if they really wanted to defeat him, they should endorse him, because people are reading their criticisms of him and their disparagement of him, and it's inspiring people even more to take the other side. And I don't think they realize that. Every time, like the Globe had a page 1 parody section slamming Trump, that helps Trump, in my opinion, because people are more distrustful of media than they are of him.
Ron Chimelis, always a pleasure to have you with us. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Jim.